Okay, without further ado, let me share my slides. Okay, now some of you who have followed me for a while would know my story would know about my bankruptcy story. But the reality is this, okay? I'm still going to, for the sake of the people who are new to me, I'm still going to tell my story. However, those of you who know about my story, please indulge me because there is a part 2, which I have never exposed to any of you guys. So tonight, my special gift to all of you guys is a very special message that has never been discussed before. Okay, how many of you here are serious about being a metaphysics practitioner of any kind? 八字, feng shui, 奇门, I Ching, tarot card reading, energy healers, type A me. Okay, serious about, second career, third career, whatever it is. Okay, now there is one special opening in our lives, okay, whereby we can supercharge and increase our learning ability in the areas of metaphysics. I was fortunate enough to stumble across it and became the person I am today. Okay, so those of you who have never heard this from me before, okay, please indulge my story, and I promise you, I'm going to expose the second part, which is the secret to lightning speed learning. Okay, because when I stumbled across that technique, I managed to shorten my 10 years learning journey into 1 year. So I turned professional parts consultant within a year. All right, because I stumbled across accidentally. Okay, and what happened was I went through an accelerated awakening process. So I wanted to share with you guys this secret. All right, and I promise I'm not going to have like an extended webinar tonight, so don't worry. Okay, don't worry, I promise. All right. Now all of us know, right, every single year before the Lunar New Year, okay, Datuk Joey will start to talk about the 12 animal signs. All right, like this year for the year of the wood dragon, he'll talk about this wood animal signs. Okay, he'll talk about all this wood dragon animal signs in YouTube, right? So all of us get excited. Every week we wait, every 2-3 days we wait for the YouTube to refresh to talk about our animal signs, right? Then we learn that certain animal signs, would have good, or what we call auspicious auxiliary stars, as well as negative or inauspicious auxiliary stars. Then we're going to conclude that, is my animal sign good or bad for the year? Okay, this is how we start. All right, most of us will start this way, right? Okay, now most of us will start this way. Okay, now then we'll find out, okay, so who has the clash animal sign, all right, and who has the clash animal sign, and what are the good and bad animal, the auxiliary stars as well. Then we conclude all our 4 animals in our Bazi chart. How is our year going to be? All right, because that's our main curiosity for the new year. Okay, then what next? Then we attend one of these. All right, we attend one of the feng shui and astrology seminars for the year, whether it might be in Malaysia, KL, it might be in Singapore. This year, we even had one in Bangkok, Thailand. All right. So this is normally what happens, guys. See if you agree with me. All right. A lot of you guys here would have attended one of these. Okay. And you will be one of those guys sitting here. Oh, you did the online one. Nice. You did the recording one. Okay. So those of you who attended or even attended the recording, right? When Dato Joey is on stage talking, okay, there's a lot of voices going around. Okay, you might be talking to your friends or family, but more importantly, you're actually talking to yourself because there are a lot of hidden conversations going on. For example, whenever Dato Joey talks about certain animal sign, or whether he talks about certain relevant information about us, about our charts, we are going to have internal voices, right? Oh, it looks like a good year for me, but I have to pretend to be neutral because my friend next to me is not going to have a good year. All right, that might be one of you, okay? How about the other one? How about those that, tend to zone off, tend to, not pay attention, right? When they listen to certain information, they'll be like, this sounds half good and half bad. What does it mean? These are the blur ones that after attending the whole day, they'll leave the place not remembering much. Okay. And then there'll be those who sit in front, right? They say, okay, I must pay attention. They're all serious, but they forget in the next 5 minutes. Okay, just because they're sitting right in front and they can see the shoes of Datuk Joey. Okay, and of course there'll be those super pessimistic ones. They go, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Okay, this year I'm just gonna die. Okay, so all of you, if you guys have been following Datuk Joey for a while, all of you would have played this role. Okay, in FSA. But what happens when you leave the place? When you leave the seminar, what normally happens? Okay, you do nothing. You know why you do nothing, guys? Most of us would actually do nothing when we leave FSA. Why? Okay. Why is it that whatever information that we have absorbed on YouTube, whatever information that we have absorbed during feng shui and astrology seminar, right? Why can't we do anything with it? Okay. Because nothing has happened yet. Overwhelmed with information, confused. All right, guys, if I give you a whole truckload of ammunition but without targets, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing, isn't it? Because there's no target, there's nothing to aim for. Okay, there's nothing to aim for, right? Those of you who know me for a while, then you guys would know that I just got married last year in November. Okay, and my wife, right? She does online shopping. And she tried buying clothes for me. Okay, guys, right? We don't really buy clothes. So so one night she asked me, Kenneth, would you like high waist or low waist shorts? I say I have no idea. Okay, I say I have no idea. So she's like, no, just decide. Would you like a high waist or low waist? I say I really have no idea. Then she started to get frustrated. She was like, why is it so difficult? I just want you to tell me so that I can choose a pair of shorts for you. I said, the shorts is not the problem. High waist, low waist is not the problem. The problem is I have not seen my own waistline for the last 40 years. So I can't even tell you where my waistline is. So I can't tell you whether I want high waist or low waist. Guys, can you see the power of a focus point? Okay, can you see the power of the focus point? All right. Now, this actually happened only last week. All right. And so this is the thing, okay? If I give you so much information, if I give you every brand, every cutting, every color, right? Your clothes, right? But you don't have to focus on how to choose your clothes. You can never choose your clothes. All right. Trust me, when you have a big tummy, everything falls off. All right. It slides down your tummy. The chubby people will know this. Okay. So this webinar is talking about Bazi for busy people. Now, busy people, they don't really care about the entire history. They don't care about the entire background information, even the concepts. Busy people, basically, if something happens, they just need to know the solution. They need a targeted solution and a timeline. That's it. Okay. Now, guys, how many of you guys will agree that if you have a target to aim at, everything becomes way more meaningful? Type a me. There you go, right? If I give you a lot of information, I give you the entire library. Okay, it's like I give you the entire encyclopedia of medical books. All right, without giving you a surgery to perform. It is just collecting dust. It's just collecting dust. All right. So the purpose of using Bazi in the real world or in the busy world, you need to have a target to aim for. Now, the target could be solving a problem, or the target could be pursuing. All right, it could be pursuing a goal. Now, the thing is this. Okay, the thing is this. When I was a student, I went through the same thing. I went through FSA, all right? I watched every single video that Datuk Joey put out, okay? Okay. And I even paid money for the Bazi Academy, Bazi Professional Pathway. including the Bazi circle. Okay, so I went through the entire comprehensive program. Okay, I went through the entire comprehensive program. But the problem is my classmates and myself, we sat down after all the classes and we said that, wait a minute, there's something going on here, right? How come after spending all the money, close to 10 grand US, right, over 3 years, okay, I just want to read my own chart. How come I'm not able to do that? Okay, I'm trying to resolve life problems. How come I'm not able to do that? I'm trying to improve my wealth, relationship, and health status. Why am I not able to do that? All right. And when something, most importantly, when something happens in my real life, how come I'm so vulnerable and I'm so helpless and I can't see real life strategies to solve my problems? How many of you feel that way as well, especially those who completed parts of professional pathway? Type a me. Me too. Okay, me too. All right. So what's going on, right? So what's going? So as usual, right? As usual, I would still attend for the fun factor. Dato Joey is my mentor, right? I'll listen to him and I'll just take whatever information to prepare for the year, and I'll just go on with the year, braving whatever unforeseen circumstances, any surprises, any bad events happening to me, and I'll just, suck it up and take life with a pinch of salt. Okay, and I would always be thinking, this is not what I had in mind about Bazi. I thought Bazi was supposed to be my blueprint, whereby I'm supposed to be able to create desirable outcomes. Let's forget about miracles here, right? I'm talking about, solving problems and creating desirable outcomes. That's not too much to ask, right? Okay. So as usual, my fellow classmates and myself, we went away real disappointed, and we were just all confused, like many of you right now. Okay. So the number one question is, how do we relate? How do we relate the theory, the wealth of information, the entire library of metaphysics information, and transfer it into a practical application for our day-to-day lives? That's the number one question. Okay. What is the bridge that links theory to real life? Okay. So this question tortured a lot of us. Okay. And no one had the answer. No one had the answer. Okay. So it was 2017. Okay, it was 2017. And this is my chart, guys. I've been showing, I'm not shy to show my chart to everybody else. I've been showing the whole world my chart already. Okay, so this is my chart. And I was going through the snake 10-year luck cycle. Okay, and 2017 was the year of the rooster. Okay, so the entire makeup of 2017 was like this. Okay, so when I attended FSA, like every one of you, I was like, wait a minute, I have the 3 harmony combination or the semi combination in my chart between the snake and the rooster. Now, a lot of us will know that, oh, combinations, this is good, right? Combination means opportunities. 3 harmony combination means collaboration, noblemen events, right? There's a lot of things going on that is desirable. Okay, that is desirable. Okay. And then when I looked at it, oh, I have a distraction. Oh, so these opportunities and these collaboration opportunities will come suddenly. All right. And I have further 3 harmony combination or combinations in general. That means, wow, 2017 is full of opportunities for me. So I left FSA smiling that year. Okay, that year. Now, what happened after? It was 2017. And my family was running a family business, providing equipment to the oil and gas industry in Singapore. Okay. So in 2017, the entire global oil and gas industry, okay, suffered one of the worst crises in history. When I say history, means in the last 100 years. Okay, because it dates back as far as that. Okay, in the last 100 years, nothing like this ever happened before. Okay, what happened? Okay, basically in 48 hours, okay, in 48 hours, 80% of my clients declared bankrupt. Okay, and we only knew about it via the newspaper because most of our clients are listed companies. Guys, hear me out carefully, all right? Listed companies, 80% of them declared bankrupt in 48 hours. Okay, listed companies, not small companies, listed companies. Okay, my cash flow stopped. My bank account went dry. Okay, two banks were chasing after money because one was for my industrial property, my office. Okay, the other one was our credit facilities. Okay, and because not that we were behind payments, we were on time. Okay, but just because we were part of this crisis industry, the banks clamped down on every single business that was linked to this industry. Okay, okay, so our sales dried up. Okay, and whoever was owing us money had no money to pay us. Okay, so we had a total debt of $700,000. Okay, and my company bank account was dry. Okay, I had at least 14 more workers to pay. Okay, and basically everything was a standstill. I tried to sell my business out of desperation. Okay, but I failed so many times. Why? Because no one in the right mind would buy a money losing business. Okay, time was running out. Okay, because the next repayment was round the corner. The next payday, the paying out of salaries to my workers was round the corner, right? My entire family did not draw salary for over a year. Okay, so even our own personal account was running dry. Okay, we were desperate and we were facing the imminent bankruptcy. Okay, so this was what happened to me in 2017. Now, let's look at the chart again. I was extremely angry. I thought this year it was going to be a fantastic year of massive collaboration and a lot of new revenue channels, a lot of new projects coming in. What on earth happened? Okay. Now, when I kept on looking at my chart, I just had this growing grievance of Dato Joey failed me. Right? I trusted you for years. You said that it was going to be a good year through all the harmony. What happened? Not only was I facing bankruptcy, my entire family was facing bankruptcy. All right. Is Dato Joey wrong? Is his teachings of Bazi wrong? Okay. So at that moment, even if I pointed fingers at the whole world, nothing was going to save my family. So I re-looked at my chart and I looked, okay, if Dato Joey is so correct, I have the overwhelming power of collaboration. So what the hell? My back was against the wall. Okay, so what did I do? I went out. Okay, I've never done this before. I went out and I raised $750,000 in 2 weeks. I paid off both the banks, had fantastic record. I sold off my half-paid office property, took the proceeds, okay, and repaid my investors way ahead of time. Not prorated, I gave them the full promised interest way ahead of time. And my family and myself escaped bankruptcy and exited the business with $500,000 capital. Okay, that was out of desperation. Okay, now most of you would have heard about this story. Those of you who are new to me, this is your first time. Okay, so this is my background story. So what happened? It was supposed to be a good year. Okay, it was supposed to be a good year. Now, this is the secret to this is a lot of people ask me, right? Wow, Kenneth, when you shared your story on stage in 2018 and 2019, right? Your story was very inspiring. But a lot of people ask me, how did you do it? How were you? This is the key question. How were you able, regardless whether out of desperation or not, pull this off? How could you just look at your chart and went out there and raised $750,000? Guys, back then I had no idea. But when you are so desperate and you just kept on looking at your chart day in, day out, okay, suddenly I started to see things. Okay, I started to see things. Guys, those of you who are serious about being a practitioner, let me tell you the secret what exactly happened to me. Initially, I thought I went crazy. But why am I able to see the Bazi chart and I can feel that the Bazi chart was talking to me is because in that particular year, I accidentally activated my celestial nobleman. Now, many of you who have some background in Bazi would know that we have two particular noblemen to help us learn metaphysics. One is called the Tai Chi nobleman, and the other one is called the celestial nobleman. How many of you know about this? Type in me. Okay, good, 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 good. You have heard about that, right? Now, what's the difference, guys? Okay, what's the difference? Now, Tai Chi nobleman is the ability to learn. Okay, so when you have certain Tai Chi nobleman years, or you are born with Tai Chi nobleman, you are a very good student of metaphysics. That means you have a very good ability to learn it. Okay, Dato Joey, if I'm not wrong, has 3. Okay, Tai Chi nobleman stars. Okay, now only in the last, I guess, 3-4 years, Dato Joey mentioned something called the celestial nobleman. Now, what's the difference? Okay, now celestial nobleman is very different from Tai Chi nobleman. Tai Chi nobleman is your ability to learn. Now, celestial nobleman means you have access to accumulated wisdom from your past lives. Now, I'm not sure. Now, this is nothing religious. I'm just telling you how it is. Okay. Means in your previous lives, you had some knowledge. You have accumulated some knowledge of metaphysics or knowledge of the unconventional industry. Okay. And what happens is this lifetime, when you came to this earth, you still have access to it, just that you don't have access to it all the time. But there are different windows of opportunities whereby that storeroom door would just open up and you're able to enter and retrieve past metaphysics knowledge that you learned in your past lives. Have you guys heard about this before? This is called celestial nobleman. Okay, guys? Yes, right? Okay. So now, how do we do this, right? Fantastic question. Now, I only realized this after many years of coming out of bankruptcy. Okay, I happened to do the right things at the right time at the right place, and that accidentally activated my nobleman and my celestial nobleman, and I was able to see certain things. Okay, I was able to see certain things. Okay, what did I see? Now, the first thing that I realized, okay, is that every year when we go through the annual forecast, it's just the general potential outlook for the year. Okay, potential outlook for the year. The monthly forecast is the series of events that leads to the general potential outlook for the year. Okay, now guys, this concept was something that I discovered and I did research on that was validated to be true. Okay, what does this mean? For example, I forecast that this year you're going to lose 12 kilograms, okay, through exercise. That is the general outlook based on your progression. But how do you do it? Okay, every single month you go to the gym, right? 3 hours a day, right? For 4 days a week, and you keep doing that on a monthly basis. Eventually, at the end of 12 months, you're going to lose 12 kilograms. Who is clear on this concept? All right. That means every single month in that year is a contribution to the overall objective, is the contribution to the overall result. Okay. So what first thing I realized was the annual forecast, or every year when we do like an annual reading, right? It's just the potential outlook. It doesn't really tell us how to get there yet, but it just tells us the eventual outlook. The monthly forecast will basically tell us the series of events that will contribute to the eventual result. Okay, so the months will be your fulfillment process. Okay, so how do these events manifest themselves in our real lives? Okay, there are two ways where events can manifest. Number one is called the catalyst of change. This is what a lot of people, or most of us, are very familiar with. All right, at least the concept, the names, right? We have the combinations. That means the 6 harmony combination, the 3 harmony combination, the hidden combinations. Then you have the 6 clashes. Then you have the 6 destructions, harms. Then you have the 4 punishments, and then the eventual Grand Duke. All right. So these are what we call moments of change. Every single year, regardless of the year, we would go through all of this, okay? Because we have to go through 12 months of the year. That means we have to go through 12 animal signs. So every single year, we will go through major or minor catalysts of change. This one, everybody knows, okay? But the other part that a lot of people do not really pay attention to, and this is the new part, this is my new discovery, is the auxiliary stars. Now, a lot of us will just look at the auxiliary stars on an annual basis, correct, guys? All right. Oh, so in the pig, what kind of auxiliary stars do we have? What kind of good and bad? In the horse, what kind of good and bad stars, right? Which animal signs, what kind of good and bad stars? And then we forget about it. Okay. How many of you here are as guilty as me? Type A1. That means we only look at it at the beginning of the year and then we forget about it. Okay. But because a lot of people do not know that a lot of events that happens to us throughout the year is also triggered by the auxiliary stars. Okay. So I'm going to tell you exactly, in this webinar, I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw from the vault in my storage, all right, from my past life. Now, let me show you a real example that happened this month. Okay, now this is a chart, okay, of a working female, okay, and this is the month of June 2024. Okay, now she is born in the year of the horse, and this month is the month of the horse. Okay, I'm not talking about the year, I'm only talking about the month. All right, because I'm only talking about one event. Double horse talks about self-punishment. Okay, those of you who know about this self-punishment. Self-punishment is it basically means a tendency to make a decision or take an action that eventually will create an outcome that comes back to punish yourself. That's why it's called self-punishment, self-inflicted pain. Okay. Now, what happened? Her credit card was used to purchase electronic goods in a shopping center worth about $4,000. Okay, the scammers called up the credit card owner to ask for verification details, and the owner thought it was calling from the shop and basically gave the verification details, and this person lost $4,000. Okay, $4,000. This is one real incident. Okay, this is one real incident. It is a double horse. Okay, it doesn't mean double animal sign means self-punishment. We have 4 animal signs for that. Okay, now just understand this first. Okay, because this is not a class, this is just to show you, all right, how it can manifest itself. Now, this is called the self-punishment. So this example is basically an example of what we call the catalyst of change, the punishments. Okay, so this was a fraud case that happened only, unfortunately, 10 days ago. Okay, in Singapore. All right, because we know this person. Okay, it's not part of the JY community, it was a family friend. Okay, that's why I have a chart. Now, so this, because we know that in 2024, there's a lot of scams going on. So she's one of those that got scammed. But if she knew that she was going through self-punishment in the month of June, do you think that she had some form of clarity to be more careful? Yes or no? Type in the chat. Guys, now let me ask you, how much less trouble, loss of money would it be to you if you had this kind of foresight? would it be much more useful to you? On a monthly basis. Priceless, right? Okay, priceless. Okay, now, next example. Now, this time around, this is with the auxiliary stars. Okay, auxiliary stars. This is another chart, another much older female. Okay, close to retirement. Okay, close to retirement. Now, this is her chart, and this happened in the month of May. Okay, 2 months ago this year as well. Okay, now, this was the month of May, which means it's the month of the snake. Now, can you see that she has a snake in the month pillar and she has another snake in the hour pillar? Yes? Okay. Now, the auxiliary stars of the snake, okay, in 2024 is what's shown below. All right, you have the sun, sky, happiness, intelligence star, a heavenly chef, sky, emptiness, bad chi, robbery, sha, and solitary. Okay, this is what's based on the annual auxiliary stars. Okay, can you guys see that she has the robbery sha? Now, robbery sha is an auxiliary star that basically means being robbed. Okay, being robbed, credit being stolen, and loss of money, loss of credits, loss of something, loss of resources in general. Okay, so what happened? If you thought that the previous example was bad, $4,000, this person lost about $250,000 from her bank account after she clicked on a fake bank link that accessed her login and verification details. $250,000 lost from one click. Real case as well, 2 months ago in May. Okay, now, guys, can you see the difference? Okay, some of you might be thinking, okay, how do we see small amount, big amount, how serious or how minute an event can be? Correct? This is $250,000. Okay, the other one was $4,000. All right, so what's the difference? Why so much more serious? So why so much more serious? Now, if we look into further information, she was going through the peak 10-year luck cycle. Okay, peak 10-year luck cycle. Now, the pig and the snake clashes. Okay, so she has one clash with her month pillar and another clash with her hour pillar. So she has double clashes going through the peak 10-year luck cycle. So normally what I would teach in my class is anything, whether it's combinations, clashing, destructions, harms, anything that goes through the 10-year luck cycle is an amplifying factor. Okay, how much more? Times 10. Okay, that is normally the gauge. So her clash went through the 10-year luck cycle. That's why her scam was of a bigger amount, is a much bigger impactful event. All right. So these are the kind of shortcuts we can see in terms of the impact, the quickness, and the seriousness of a certain event. Okay. Now, the next question is, people always ask me, okay, Kenneth, is there any way this person could recover any amount of money? The answer that I will give is yes. Okay. Because Bazi students would know that not all clashes are made the same way. Now, the pig and snake clash is the least detrimental clash of all 6 clashes. That means it's the least serious, but it is the most irritating. Okay, so based on this information alone, I see that, well, there is a chance for her to recover some, maybe not all. Okay, but the amount of red tape, procedure, paperwork, long drawn out verification process, she has to go through all this, right? Because you have to satisfy the annoying factor. All right, so if I give you all these what we call cheat sheets, these keywords, do you think it's easier, okay, to read your Bazi chart? Yes or no? Yes, right? Yes, right? Exactly. Okay. So I did something last year. Okay. We did a very special thing that was never done before in the industry of metaphysics. That means not just within the JY community, but based on our research or my research of all the other masters out there. We have never done a course, okay? We have never ever done a course to show people how to use 八字 to create real life miracles or real life results before, because it's too much of a promise that can be detrimental to your reputation if you screw it up. Okay, but the reason why the JY community or the JY group invited me to join their apprenticeship program and eventually became a consultant is because I have proven to be able to produce this consistently. Okay, 75% of the time. I think that's a pretty good conversion rate. Okay. So last year, what we did was this. Okay, we were not sure whether people were receptive to what I was prepared to share. Okay, to be very honest, even the JY group did not know what I was going to teach, but they said, well, just try it out. Okay, so last year we did a small class, okay, called the real life 八字 execution. Okay, real life 八字 execution to teach this. Okay, to our surprise, it was overwhelming. Okay, because a lot of people were suffering from this. It's not about the annual outlook, but it's more of when things actually happen throughout the year. Can we use 八字 to solve it strategically and targeted? Okay. So now let me show you exactly what it is. Okay. Now, this is what we call the 5 structures. I'm going to use something that is very, very simple, okay, but I'm going to apply it in a very profound way, okay? This is called the 5 structures. So this is what we call the chi flow, all right? And the basic understanding in metaphysics is this, okay? Regardless whether it's 八字, feng shui, or qi men, when the chi flows, everything works. When the chi is blocked, that means when the flow is blocked, there are obstacles in life. That's the general cheat sheet of it. Okay. Now, I have coined this the wheel of life. All right. I have coined this the wheel of life. And this is basically exposing the flow of chi or the flow of the universe for you to achieve things that you want. Okay. So now, basically, we always start with the situation. Okay. The situation, which is the influence. Okay. The situation will always give you some information about what you have to deal with. This is what we call the target board. Okay, right? And then basically we have to understand the problems. Then we come up with a strategy. Then we execute a strategy. Then we achieve the desirable income. Okay, or the outcome. Sorry, the outcome. Okay, now just to make the long story short, okay, the chi flow, if we reflect it in our day-to-day lives, is what we call the wheel of life. Okay, and this is how the symbol looks like. Okay, now this is the wheel of life, and just try to imagine that your life is like a wheel. Okay, it's like the wheel of a car. Okay, when the wheel is perfectly round, the car runs very smoothly, correct? However, when a small part of the wheel juts out, the car starts to be a bit bumpy, isn't it? This is exactly the same thing that will happen to your life. Your life basically gets bumpy. Okay, there'll be blockages, there'll be problems, there'll be things that there'll be things that happens that doesn't go according to your expectations, and you are forced to deal with it. Okay, so whenever the part of the wheel comes out where the problem is, we have to rectify it to make the wheel smooth again so that our life keeps going. Okay, now I'm just going to give you an example right now. Okay, so now when I got out of the potential bankruptcy, I thought my nightmare was over. But given how life works, okay, life allows you to breathe, but only for a short term before another problem comes. How many of you agree with that? And it comes endlessly. That's basically life. Okay, yeah, exactly right. Okay, So in 2019, we were, my entire family just said to us, we have gotten out of this bankruptcy situation. It's time to close down the company, strike it off the registrar. So we all agreed. Okay. So in the midst of applying for striking off of the company, all right, suddenly we receive a letter from the tax department of Singapore. Okay, now the question here is this. Okay, would you expect any problems in July? Okay, most people would say no. Okay, because it's not anything too obvious. No clashes, there's a harmony, right? So generally, we will not expect too much of a problematic month. Okay, now, when we were in the midst of striking off, the tax department stopped the process. Okay, and we were served a letter. Okay, and the tax department basically gave us a letter of demand and wanted my family to pay a total of $120,000. Okay, and we were like, how on earth did this amount come about, right? Then when we read the letter, it said that, it was to pay back for the government grants that we took since 2013. Okay, despite the grants being approved by the tax department themselves. Okay, but just because we were striking off our company, they wanted to recover as much money as they could. So they served us a letter of demand, right? So this was what happened to us suddenly in 2019 when we thought our nightmare was over. So when I looked at my chart, I realized, oh my goodness, all right, on the 9th of July, it was a peak day, okay? And 2019 was a peak year. I was going through the snake 10-year luck cycle, and I have another snake in my hour. I was going through a four-way clash, okay? I was going through a four-way clash. Now, another bonus information, the more connections a relationship makes, that means the clash, the combination, the destructions, the more impactful, the more sudden. All right, this is another cheat sheet. This is another keyword here. All right, that's why out of nowhere, we were served the letter of demand. Now, guys, based on the previous information about the pig and snake clash, not serious, but very annoying. Do you think that I can solve this problem? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, right? Do you think that the whole process is very annoying? Yes or no? Yes, super annoying because it's a four-way clash, right? Okay. Now, inside the pig, okay, inside the pig is eating God, e.g. All right, those of you who are brand new to Bazi or you're not too familiar with Bazi, just hear me out. Don't worry about the analysis, all right? And then in the snake is 7 killings. So in Bazi studies, we like it when EG controls 7 killings. So even this clash is showing us that we are able to come up with a creative solution to overcome the problem. All right. So now, so basically the 7K was clashed out abruptly because it was a four-way clash. So the problem came up suddenly, and that's why we were served the letter. Okay. But however, the same question, why July? Because July looks so innocent. Why July? All right. So when we look at the month of July, on the top, we saw rob wealth. Now, rob wealth in the most traditional term is called losing money event because rob wealth is talking about losing resources. Okay. And the most common resource is money. Okay. DR represents documentation. So we had a lot of documentations involving grants. All right. Which since 2013, 6 years later, most of our documentation would have been destroyed. Okay. DO, problem with authority. Okay, so we had problems with the tax department. DW, affecting my income. My income at that time was my company. So it was affecting the cash flow of my company. So can you see how July manifests itself? All right. Who just had an aha moment? Different months, okay, will tell you the theme of each month. Okay, if you are sensitive enough to the 10 gods. All right, there you go. Okay, now. Okay, fine, good. We are good at analysis. Okay, we are good at analysis. All of you said that it can be solved, right? Because it's the most annoying clash, but it's the least serious. So you guys are practicing Bazi right now. Okay, how to dissolve problems. Because now you have a target board, you have a problem to solve. Okay. So the yellow sector over here is the situation that I was facing. Okay, so based on Bazi studies, the strategy, we need a strategy to execute towards the situation, to control the situation from getting worse. All right. And we needed information and knowledge to dissolve it, to solve it. Okay. Yeah, you thought that DO, DR, and DW is good, right? Think again, all right? It is situational. Okay, it is situational. That is why Bazi is a study that a lot of people say it's easy to learn but hard to master because it's situational, but it's also very actionable. Okay, that is the secret to Bazi. Okay, now, so what did I do? All right, yes, I analyzed what was the problem, but I still have to solve it, right? Okay, because it's freaking annoying. So we already know that the entire process that I have to go through is freaking annoying. All right, so what do I have to do? Okay, now I already knew what kind of situation I was in. I was in trouble with the tax department and they were demanding $120,000. Okay. So in order to understand the situation and consequences means if I don't pay, what's going to happen? Would I go to jail? Can they repossess the house? Are they going to kill my bum? You know, what was it, right? So I went to seek legal advice. Okay, I went to seek legal advice to understand my rights, my position, and my fighting chance. Okay, the reason is not because I wanted to take on the tax department. I was trying to find the most logical, the path of least resistance out of this situation. Okay. So I went to speak to the lawyers, and the lawyers gave me some information that surprised me. Okay. So basically, I can't really say what was the information, but basically it was half right, half wrong. Okay, about what the tax department was trying to do. So there was some arguments that held true for my side. Okay. So based on the legal advice and business knowledge, I listed out the options. Okay. So the first option was always to try to mitigate and try to solve it peacefully. Okay. If all else fails, then I would take on the tax department. Okay. So I had two options basically. So obviously I chose the more sentimental approach. Okay. Now, so I just said, dear tax department, I have prepared for you 120 pages report, 120 page report to build my case for submission to justify why I don't have to pay back that $120,000 because you guys approved it. So I dug out all my documentation. I even had to pay money to my corporate secretary to retrieve old documents for me to build this 120 page report. And I threw the entire folder to the tax department. Okay. 3 months later, okay, the tax department reduced the amount payable to about $16,000 without justification. In the letter that they sent me, they just say, okay, now after much review, now you just have to pay $16,000 without any justification. Okay. Now, a lot of my friends told me, Kenneth, the fact that you can get the amount down from $120,000 to $16,000, can't you go one more round and get it down to zero? Okay. The answer is yes, but the cost of getting it down to $16,000 to zero might have cost me more than 20 grand. Okay. So the smart way is the shareholders, the three of us, agreed to split the $16,000 three ways and move on, because the ultimate desired outcome was to move on and get the tax department basically off our backs. Correct? So that was how we did it. Okay, now guys, did you realize something? The way I reduced the $120,000 to $16,000 and got myself out of the letter of demand, did I even look at my chart? Or did I just use the wheel of life? If I just use the wheel of life, type 1. If I looked at my chart, type 2. I only looked at my chart to understand what went on. Why did I get served the letter? But how did I solve it? Generally, I just use the wheel of life, isn't it, guys? Guys, this is an example, okay, of what I've done to solve problems using 八字 without looking at my own 八字 chart. Did I mitigate the clash? Did I do anything with the charts after I understood what happened? No. I just used the wheel of life and I got myself out of a very annoying situation with the tax department. Okay? This is called using 八字 to solve problems without even knowing how to do 八字. You just understand the concept of the 5 elements that I have translated into the wheel of life. All right? So this is one technique. Okay? Yep, hold on, Nicole. I'll show it later, right? You wanted which one? The wheel, the 2 wheels, is it? This one. Is it? Yeah. Don't worry, yeah. The original one. Okay. This one. Okay, this one. Is it? Okay. Okay, yeah. So anyway, just pay attention. This is not a class. Okay, this is not a class. So I'm just telling you how things work. How things work. All right. We don't need to understand our full 八字 chart, but we just need to know how to deal with events when it happens to us. Okay. So again, coming back to this question, what do we do when problems happen? Are we really able to use 八字 to solve it? The answer is yes. But how do we do it? How do we do it? We have a 3-step framework which I have coined. Okay. Number 1, the wheel of life allows you to understand the next step in line. Meaning, whenever there's a problem to solve, what's the next step? Okay, what's the next step? Okay, which quadrant are you jumping to? Okay, that is step number 1. This gives you clarity of your current situation. Okay, step number 2, then you look at your 八字 chart to understand which month are you going through right now, to understand what potential catalysts of change. Are you going through any combinations, clashes, destructions, harms, punishments, or grand duke? Because these catalysts of change are also called windows of opportunities for you to execute your certain ideas. Once you combine these two together, it becomes an actionable plan for you to create your desirable outcome. Okay, guys, this is the 3-step framework, okay, that I taught, okay, last year in my real life 八字 execution class, just as a test market program. Okay, some of you here would have tried it, would have gone through that program. Okay, now that program was just an introduction program. Okay, because I only tested the essence of it. Okay. And this was the result. Okay. Sub was saying, thank you, Kenneth. I have a different perspective, not only when it comes to difficult times, but also realize that we can apply the wheel to every single aspect in life. Okay. So he actually appreciated the wheel of life, and he actually realized that why is it called wheel of life? Because the entire wheel of life basically can be applied to any situation in your life. All right. And Alice also said thank you, right? She feels that the concept, because Alice is a very corporate person, she feels that she can relate the wheel of life and apply it to the corporate world. Okay, especially those who do not use metaphysics in the way that the problem is being broken down and peeled off layer by layer. That is so true. Okay, she also liked the explanation of clashes, punishments, etc. Because in that class, I explained the catalyst of change, not theoretically, but how it manifests in real life, like what I'm doing with you guys right now. Okay, would you guys want to learn that? Type A me. If you guys want to learn how a clash actually looks like in real life, how a combination appears in real life. What's the difference between a 3 harmony combination and a 6 harmony combination and a hidden combination? How does a destruction manifest? What do people feel when they're going through the harm? Okay, what is a Grand Duke? All right, we hear about all these terms, but yet we don't really have a real idea of how it actually manifests itself in real life when it actually happens. That is the reason why we can never recognize what we learn in 八字, and that is what causes our frustrations. Okay? Now, again, coming back to the ultimate question, all right? My personal path was the first one. I went through FSA, right? All the YouTube videos. I attended Bazi Academy, Bazi Professional Pathway, Bazi Circle, every single thing, spent about 10 grand with subsidiary courses, short courses and stuff like that. But I still had problems creating real life results. Okay. But because I activated my celestial nobleman, I was able to see certain things. I was able to see the bridge. Okay. And I'm very proud to announce only at Joey Yap Consulting Group, you guys get to learn this. It's called Real Life Bazi Action, Real Life Bazi Execution 2.0. Creating miracles with Bazi. Now, what's the difference between this and what I taught last year? This year, I'm including the auxiliary stars. Last year, whoever attended my course, you were not given the knowledge of how to deal with the auxiliary stars. This time around, I'm going to give you the entire encyclopedia. I'm going to give you the entire vote, okay, of real life Bazi execution. That means all the catalysts of change, all the auxiliary stars, how to forecast, okay, how to forecast possible events, when to look out for warnings in certain months, when to capitalize on certain opportunities, when do certain months, your desired outcomes will actually manifest itself. You're able to have the foresight of how things will pan out for you throughout the year. Okay, now what's the difference here? When you learn the Joey Yap Bazi curriculum, all right, you have this entire comprehensive library, the wealth, what we call the coral reef of Bazi knowledge. Fantastic, all right, for those Bazi lovers. But if you really want to practice Bazi, be a consultant, solve your own problems, solve the problems of your family, loved ones, and your clients, okay, you definitely need to learn how to use Bazi in a targeted approach. This is the difference between comprehensive and general information versus targeted approach that is very focused, no fluff, real life results. Okay, and real life Bazi execution is the bridge. Okay, this process, okay, is called the awakening process. This process is called crossing the prism, meaning from theory to real life. How many of you here agree that when you were in school, right, regardless of how you did in school, how well you did in school, the true learning starts in your first job in society? How many of you agree with that? Type A1. This is exactly what I'm doing for you guys. As of now, whether it's in the JY community or whether it's in other metaphysics communities, right? Every master teaches the classics, meaning theoretical concepts, which is very important. Okay, don't get me wrong. It's very, very important. But how do you deal with real life? Once you know the theoretical concepts and you're able to apply them to your real life and you start to create small results, eventually small miracles, then your entire journey as a Bazi practitioner will be completed. How many of you agree with this? Type in me. So I am very proud to be the only practitioner who has the guts and puts his reputation on the line to offer this. Okay? Because this is actually my identity. This was how I became a Bazi consultant, a metaphysics consultant, because I went through this. Okay, now this real life Bazi execution program is for 3 days. Okay, not the usual 2 days, is for 3 days because there's a lot to cover. Okay, the last time I did it, I have to say sorry to the past students because there was one particular day we went on for 5 hours. Okay, because there was so much to cover. This time round, I'm going to split the time even more, and I'm going to cover even more material, going from how to read your natal chart energies all the way down to your 10-year luck cycle, to your year, to the month. All right. So you take it as a crash course on parts applications and implementation, because the full comprehensive one will take you probably about a year. Okay. This is for 3 days. So this is a crash course on parts applications and implementation only, internal outlook as well as external outlook. I'm going to give you multiple real life examples and shortcuts on all the catalysts of change, combinations, clashes, destructions, harms, punishments, and Grand Duke. I'm going to give you the cheat sheet on 10 gods. Okay, a lot of people are confused about the 10 gods because they do not know that the 10 gods have tendencies and talents. Okay, there are two separate things. Okay, certain percentages will manifest certain behaviors. Okay, and more importantly, if you want to see things like me, I'll teach you how to activate the energy of your Bazi chart. Okay, I'll show you the 3 secret steps to activating the true potential of your Bazi chart. Okay. Okay, if one wanted to become a Bazi consultant, would this course be adequate enough to enable that? This will be adequate for you to start immediately to do basic annual consults. Then you can improve your knowledge by taking on, but this forms the foundation framework. Okay. So the real life Bazi execution curriculum, okay, this is roughly what you learn. Okay. 3-step framework for Bazi execution. That means the wheel of life, the catalyst of change, and how to formulate an actionable plan. Of course, you have the wheel of life, the process of the universe. Then you have the 3 kinds of combinations: 6 harmony, 3 harmony, hidden combinations. What are the examples, okay, that you are going to expect? Okay, that means in real life, how does it manifest? How does it appear, right? Then you have the 6 clashes, and clashes basically can be categorized into clashing in and clashing out. How does that look in real life? Okay. How do you mitigate the clashes? Okay. Do you even need to mitigate sometimes? All right. Then you have the destructions, harms, and punishments. Then you have the 10 gods, the talents, the potential, the events. And then how to activate your 10 gods, including the missing ones that you're born without. Okay. And for those of you who are constantly, I know I have a problem, but I just can't seem to put my finger on the problem. That means you know there's something that you need to learn. You know there's something that you are, certain knowledge or skill set that you are missing, but you have no idea what. Okay, then I'll show you exactly how to identify your ultimate skill set to solve your life's biggest problems. Okay, again, it's through my own experience as well. Unfortunately, this is not a recorded, automated program, so there's no lifetime access. All right, but there will be a replay. Okay. Will you need to have a basic understanding of Bazi before attending this? The answer is no. Okay, now this course is extremely flexible. So if you're just say you're an absolute beginner, or you just have very little knowledge, all right, this is perfect for you, because this gives you the framework, this gives you the crash course, so that when you carry on learning more and more knowledge, you just stack on the knowledge. Okay, but at least you have a certain framework to follow. All right, those of you who have completed all the way to the Bazi professional pathway, this is the missing framework to break out of your confusion. This is the framework that allows you to reorganize all the knowledge that you have and apply it accordingly based on the situational target. Okay, whether it's problem solving, whether it's pursuing a matter, whether it's understanding what comes to you. All right, when something happens in your life, you're able to see, is this an opportunity, or is this a trap? Okay, this gives you the clarity and the foresight. Okay. I will not teach you the complete auxiliary stars, because there's over 1,000 auxiliary stars, and the classical books do not have a clear explanation of what each auxiliary star is. What I'm trying to tell you is every single year we will be exposed to certain auxiliary stars per animal sign. Okay, so what do you do with that information every single year? Okay, I think that is way easier, okay, than trying to understand over 1,000 auxiliary stars, because normally we will just focus on the bigger ones. The smaller ones are so minute that you don't even feel the impact. All right. All right. Now, this is a 3-day course. So for a 3-day course in JY taught by a consultant is USD 697. Since this year is the official year that we launched this complete program, okay, we will give you US 497. This is the price for a standard 2-day program, which we are just going to offer this to you guys. Okay, now based on the feedback that we got since last year, apparently this is great, it's comprehensive, but it's not enough. It was lacking a bit of the X factor. Okay, so after much deliberation, after much research, okay. Oh, wait, I have to talk to you about Vimla first, all right? So Vimla was saying valuable 3 days, enjoy the group interaction, okay? Wheel of life strategic approach, all right? As well as, okay, Jongbu is saying that this is the best framework and the most logical way of reading 八字, okay? Now, all this feedback was gathered through the trial, okay? Through the trial, okay? Now, the thing is this. This is the bonus, okay? A lot of people say, I have problems reading my 八字 chart. I have problems doing readings for clients. Okay, so I'm going to give you, okay, the extra stuff called the Pro 八字 reading. This is how I read nowadays. Okay, this is how I read nowadays. This is called a multi-layered, multifaceted approach to 八字 reading. Now, how many of you agree that you have certain relationships like combinations, harms, destructions, clashes inside your natal chart already? Type A1. Okay. Now, these clashes in certain 10-year luck cycles would also form, all right, certain combinations, for example. And then it might form certain destructions with the annual animal sign. Okay. In that multi-layered kind of reading, what does it mean? Okay, so this is me going into my celestial nobleman, me going into the vault of past knowledge, okay, and understanding how to read 八字 chart. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to do a 八字 analysis across different dimensions of time. Okay, in 八字 Academy, you learn about dynamic reading. Okay, but that's only based on one layer, one tier. Okay, one tier. Okay, what happens is in this 八字 analysis across different dimensions of time, I am teaching you how to layer multiple layers of dynamic reading at the same time. Okay, now those of you who have attended last year, okay, but you want the full program this year, okay, click on the link, click on the registration link later, and you can message Mark, Coach Mark, or Coach Ocean, all right, and see if they have anything available for you, all right. Or you can type a PM right now and see whether Mark or Ocean could actually see if they can offer any arrangements for you, all right. So now, once you attend the main course, right, you will have a much clearer understanding about the combinations, clashes, destructions, and harms. Okay, you will also understand how to stack, okay, the energies together. Meaning, how do you apply 八字 with a clash together with a combination happening at the same time? Okay, happening at the same time. You will know how to do that. Okay, then you have the clarity, you have the foresight of forecasting opportunities in certain months, and you also have the forecast of knowing which months are dangerous. For example, the scams, losing money, making mistakes, right, being too stubborn, for example. All right, as well as how to forecast certain months where the auxiliary stars will have an impact in your life. Okay, so this is called Pro 八字 reading. This gives you absolute clarity on how to deal with every single month throughout the whole year. Okay. Then, of course, the parts of the battle plan, we are going to combine everything now. All right. That means all the knowledge that you guys will be receiving for the 3 days, together with the first bonus, and we are able to formulate a parts of the battle plan for you to organize. Now, I'm not going to do this for you. I'm going to teach you how to create your own report so that at any one moment in time, regardless of whatever situation, you know, all right, what's the available energy for you to use. You can use the wheel of life to solve problems or pursue certain activities. For example, you can do a monthly forecast on the energy changes so that you know how to plan your events for the whole year. Okay. Now, these are all three causes. Okay. These are all three causes. All right. Now, this is the comprehensive package. Okay. Now, 3 programs cost over $1,000 US. Now, to some people, they might even pay 1,997 for it. But you know what's a good thing? I'm the one teaching it. Not Datuk Joey. All right. So this is what I'm going to do for you guys for the official launch of this program. Just pay US 497 for the main program, and I will give you everything else for free. How many of you like this? Type A, me. Okay. Trust me, guys, it took me a long time to negotiate with the management team. That's why this took half a year to get approved. Okay. This program nearly didn't make it this year. All right, guys. So I'm glad the management team, there's no books. All right. Everything will be taught online. Okay. Everything will be taught online. Okay. So those of you who are interested, scan the QR code and register now to lock in the 55% savings. Okay. Now, because this was done pretty urgently, so we are still trying to work around the dates for the 2 bonuses. But most likely, we will be completing the 2 bonuses within 2 weeks after the last day of the main course. All right, because the main course will be on the 22nd to the 24th of October, 4 hours a day, okay, with recording and replays, okay, and then with whatever you have learned in that 3 days, we will go further into the pro parts reading, and you're going to learn about the concept of energy stacking, as well as reading your parts chart across different dimensions of time. Okay, then finally we'll take everything and we'll go to bonus number 2, and I will teach you how to create your own 12 months of energy changes so you know exactly what to expect, okay, throughout the year. Okay, guys. So those of you who are interested, grab this special offer right now. Okay, scan the QR code and register. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, guys. So, we Coach Mark, Coach Ocean, and myself, we actually it was a long approval process, but I'm glad that we finally got the management to say yes for us to offer this to you. All right. I believe, Angelica, you were waiting for this, right? You were asking me for the last 6 months when was I going to launch this new comprehensive real life parts execution course. So, well, finally, after about 6 months of approval, here it is. Yes, finally. Yes, it's here. Okay, so those of you who are alumni, those of you who attended last year and you're interested in this, please WhatsApp Mark or WhatsApp Ocean as well, okay? And let's see what kind of arrangements they can offer you. But guys, this is a bit different. This is way more comprehensive. So everything is subjected to management approval. If there's no if there's no special discounts, and if you don't sign up, I fully understand. All right, but this will be delivered a bit differently as compared to last year. Okay, especially the bonuses. All right. Last year, the main difference was I did not look at the internal. That means I did not look at the existing relationships in your natal chart, and I did not talk about the auxiliary stars. This year, I'm going to cover all of it. Okay. And of course, those of you who sign up, my special promise to you is I'm going to throw in a special segment called activating your Tai Chi nobleman or activating your celestial nobleman stars. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, I can teach you to spot the window of opportunity for you to go crazy with your learning. And then maybe you can see things like how I see things as well. Okay, guys. All right, all right. Wow, nice, nice, nice. Yes, Nicole, I just said it. Celestial and Tai Chi activation will be included. Okay, that's my personal promise to you guys. Yes, correct. Correct. You understood it correctly. Yes. Okay. Maybe that I can include it in bonus one because I don't think the main course has time for me to share this. So most likely I will include it in bonus one. Okay. Yes, there will be a recording. There'll be a 7 days replay, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Okay, so those of you who are alumni, you're asking for a special rate. Again, no promises because as I said, the management took a while to approve this. So now, if you want a special rate, it might take further approval. So if you think this is really new value to you, all right, hey, we respect your choices. All right. If the management rejects your request for a special discount, please understand. Okay. It's all right. I will not unfriend you. It's all right. Okay. Yeah. But 497 for a 5 days comprehensive program plus workshop, I think is a steal. Okay, because okay, guys, just let me share something with you, right? Because I just shared this with Ocean and Mark before we started this webinar. The discussion happening right now, and the reason why this course nearly didn't happen was because ever since we did this course last year, the management was thinking of absorbing this course into the mainstream programming. Okay, which means they were talking about me recording this program and then selling it as a lead up after the professional pathway. So you might be looking at the price of US 1997. Okay, but because everything happened in such a rush and the working schedule, the working calendar is very busy this year, so this discussion just was delayed. So that's why the management gave me approval to do this course one more time live before they make a decision on what to do. Well, basically before they make a decision on what to do with it. Okay, so whether this program is going to come back next year, the following year, to be honest, I have no idea. It all depends on the management team. So if you think that this is good value to you, why not? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, guys. All right. Any other questions? Apart from the discounts, okay? In terms of the discounts, just let Mark and Ocean seek management approval, yeah? Okay. Okay, Sarah, out of interest, did you look at your other business partners' charts too? No. Okay, because I was the decision maker. So if whatever I said goes, means the business follows my party chart. Okay. So if you want to see a boss's business, basically, do not look at who's the boss, look at who's the decision maker. Okay, and then the business will go according to the decision maker's party chart. Okay. Yes. Well, there will be a deadline, but not so soon, to be very, very honest. Okay, because the course is from 22nd to 24th. But to be honest, again, we would not be marketing this intensively. So if you have the affinity to join us tonight and you think that this is good value to you and this is actually very good, this is the solution or the answer to your frustrations, please, okay, join us tonight. Okay, please join us tonight. Okay, sometimes when we have questions after the course, How can we reach you? Well, you can join my Telegram group. Okay, I'm famous for trying to answer every single question. But of course, please, if you have any questions, ask me during the class, even during the bonus. I'll be glad to answer them. Okay, I'll be glad to answer them. All right. Referring to chi flow situation is always 7K. Now, 7K normally represents the problematic situation. So in a nutshell, yes. Okay. How does all this go with the JY Bazi Mastery Circles curriculum? It doesn't. It's actually complementary. That means this is the next step. That means when you go through Bazi Academy, Bazi Professional Pathway, and Bazi Circle, this is basically giving you a wealth of information with no target. When you attend this course, this is how you deal with real life issues when they happen in a targeted approach. Okay? Okay, Victor? Yeah, correct. So this is an add-on. This is the next step after you have completed the Bazi Mastery Circle. If you are interested in the targeted approach. Okay, just like Feng Shui, we learn about the concepts of Feng Shui, but it's about the implementation that gets the results. It's the same. Okay, good, good, good. All right, guys. Wow, thanks. Okay, oh, another question. Okay. Normally, lifetime replay is given by the management team for JY recorded programs. Normally, that's how it works. For consultants, not really. For consultants, we are giving what we call standalone anchor trainings, okay, that we see knowledge gaps that the community is suffering from, like what you guys have agreed, like the frustration after learning so much, how do you apply? This is the anchor training for it, okay? How did I answer my wife about the shopping? I told her, you help me measure my waist, and then you can go ahead and decide whether you can buy, above the waist, below the waist. You want me to wear a bikini or something? I mean, just go ahead, right? Focus on the problem. Okay, you can find my waist based on that guideline, buy whatever you want. Yep. Okay. Great, great, great. Okay, guys, if you think that the 7-day replay is like too short and all that stuff, maybe you guys can send in an official request, all right? Because it's beyond my control, because this is all pretty standard for all consultant trainings. Okay. Okay, good, good. This program sounds like not for beginners. Basically, it's very flexible based on whatever position you are. Okay. So I'm going to give you I'm going to talk to you like a real person, like a student to a student. Okay, not a teacher to a student. Okay, so I'm going to explain the entire concepts in layman terms. All right. Okay, guys. Wow, thank you so much. Wow, there's a lot of questions. Nice, nice, nice. Well, thank you for all the interest, right? If you have any other questions, please let Ocean and Mark know. All right. Is this for very beginner? Very beginner, this gives you a very good foundation. That's all I can say, because I learned it that way too. Okay. SHR is saying, will you address clashes or punishments that resulting in illness besides wealth? Yes. This is when the auxiliary stars come in. Okay, I will show you when. Okay, do you have the rabbit in your chart? SHR, do you have the rabbit in your chart? Okay, just in case, right? How many of you, no, okay, how many of you have the rabbit in your Bazi chart? Okay, how many of you fell sick? How many of you fell sick in April or March? Okay, this is, guys, look at the chat. Okay, those of you with the rabbit, you have the sickness charm, and your sickness charm is the auxiliary star in your rabbit. Now, your rabbits auxiliary star was activated in March, April as well. That's why you guys kept falling sick. All right. There's about 6 more months of your sickness charm being activated just for you guys to have a bit of a foresight in case you're not joining me for the course. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Those of you, let me see who else. Okay. How many of you have the pig in your chart? Okay. Did something involving compliance or sudden events happen to you in the month of March? Right? Those of you with the pig. All right. The sudden bad events happen to you, some compliance issue, some disagreement with your boss or something like that. All right. It happened in March or April or the first week of April. Yes. Yes. You see, guys, this is called evidence of your auxiliary stars being activated. Okay. So do you guys want to have the foresight from now on every single year? You learn this once, you can use it every single year. If you want, please join me for the course. At US 497, it's a steal. Okay? Because you're not going to learn this information anywhere else. Okay? Because I have done research for the last 5 years. No one else teaches this. What star for the pig is that? Okay, it's called the brutal defeat. Okay, it's also called the heavenly officer charm. Okay. All right, if you need installments, please contact Mark. All right, and let's see what he can work out with. I'm not sure whether we still have those Singapore Malaysian credit card offers. I'm not sure, but Mark will take care of you. Okay, and Ocean as well. Okay, the bonus 1 and 2 will be after. It has to be after the main course. Why? Because bonus 1 can only be done and can only be appreciated after you have gotten the knowledge from the main course. And bonus number 2 is after you can combine the knowledge from the main course and bonus number 1. Okay, so this whole course is strategically structured that way. All right. Yes, the course starts in October from the 22nd to the 24th. Okay, 7 to roughly 11 every night. Okay, normally we'll try to keep it within 3 hours with half an hour Q&A. Because based on our online experience, when people go through classes more than 3 hours, they start to zone out. And they get quite grumpy after that. Okay. You got COVID second time in June. All right. That one should be because of the tiger, if I'm not wrong, because the tiger has funeral guests and sky dog, if I'm not wrong. Correct, Sui? Yeah. Okay, so those of you with the tiger, yes, correct, right, Sui? Right, the tiger has the funeral guests. So in June, it triggered a bit of a health issues, not only with you, but also your family is also at risk. Okay. Now, those of you who follow me on YouTube, I have done a monthly forecast for the month of June. Okay. And I did mention that the month of June was a month of viruses spreading because of excessive traveling. Okay. So those of you who wonder why you got COVID, right, watch that short sharing by me. Okay. Go to my YouTube, right? Search JY Kenneth Wong, and you can watch my my June outlook. All right. Yes, red and gold is a harm. Correct. Okay. Good, guys. Wow. Wow. Thank you, guys, right, for staying so long. Yes. Yes, mad work traveling, right? That's why you got infected. All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And to those of you who have already registered, I will see you in class, and thank you for the leap of faith. It will be a very fun learning experience. All right, you're going to have multiple aha moments. We're going to have a lot of laughter. Most likely it'll be me laughing most of the time, right? right? Because but I'm very excited to share what I have discovered. Okay. But basically, what I have discovered after I have activated my celestial nobleman that is not being covered in the classical text. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. On that note, my name is Kenneth Wong, and I'll see you guys in class. Take care.